Well, Kevin, top of the league, flying it. How do you feel?
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit early to be. We are technically top of the league, yeah. But it's going well. We've played well in the 6 games, to be fair, and we're probably unlucky not to get something out of the Rovers in the last day. But no, it's been a good start. But that's all it is. We know we've a hell of a long way to go. But yeah, got to be pleased so far.
What do you put that down to? Because, you know, obviously top of the table, more points than any other team, second highest goal scorers, best defensive record. You know, with so much change that's gone on here since you won the cup last year, you could be forgiven for having a sluggish start.
Yeah, and look, there was a bit of a turnover as well, and everyone obviously knows since the cup we've gone full time and stuff like that. But like, I mean, it's just we've just been playing well. Like, you know, it's no big secret for it. We kept a fair chunk of the group as well. We brought in a few. We did lose a few as well. But no, look, it's very, very early. But we have had a good start. And again, I was talking to you there a minute ago about like sort of the full time stuff. And yeah, of course it helps. But we're still only very early into it, and take a bit of getting used to it. But it does help it. Particularly, I mean, we won on played Monday, Friday, and got 7 points out of them, and that will be few and far between over the last couple of years. So lads can rest up after games, stuff like that. So no, it's definitely helping. But as I said, no one's getting carried away with league tables and that. We're in good form, and hopefully it continues now.
How important is it, the full-time switch? Because, you know, so much success last year. Look, you won the cup. You know, you've had some really good seasons, but again, you were behind so many other clubs that were full-time, and you're trying to do it on a part-time basis. Just the headache that brings, getting rid of that must be a massive advantage.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And again, and you're right. And I think I did mention this to you last time we spoke. Was we're not getting an advantage over everything by doing. Everybody was doing it anyway. So, and then look, it's the right way to be. Like, that's what football's supposed to be. It's a professional sport, but it certainly helps. Look, as I said, probably with rest and recovery, and we do spend, like, for instance, yesterday we were training and we were able to do a double session, for instance. Like, so we wouldn't have been able to do that before. But look, as I said, it started well. We have a long way to go, and thankfully as well, and it's probably nothing to do with the full time thing. But we've been down a fair few bodies even since pre-season. So we're looking at getting a few of those back over the next few weeks, which will make competition for places even stronger, which will make the group even stronger. So I'm looking forward to those lads getting back as well.
Does it help in trying to keep the momentum going when you are full time? That, you know, like you said there with the Friday Monday thing, or even just in general when games come thick and fast. If you're trying to do it as a part-time club, it must be trickier than now being full time. Will allow you maybe a chance to kind of keep this momentum going.
Yeah, look, we've managed to do it over the last 3 years. As you said, we've had 3 really good years before this. So it's a little bit different, but again, it's probably at this stage sick of talking about it because it's just the way it should be, and it's the way everyone else has been. But yeah, it's good for even after a Friday game. We're in the gym on Saturday morning or whatever. I'm not worried about lads having to probably rest up, or some lads even going to work on the Saturdays anymore. So it's good to, whether it's a good performance, bad performance, it's great to be able to get in and address it in a good or bad way straight away. So rather than having it maybe hanging over you the whole weekend, or hanging over the players the whole weekend. So little things like that, nutrition, lads resting, all that type of stuff. It certainly, look, it's all going in a good direction. As you said, there's a lot of stuff going on here at the ground, and the club obviously are moving forward. So it's a very positive place and a very happy place to be at the moment.
Tell us about how positive a place it is, because like even just being up here today, you can see so much is changing even on a season by season basis. And like you said there, this is a club hopefully with a new stadium somewhere on the horizon. This is a club that's only going in one direction. Yeah,
well, hopefully, and as I said, we have to play our part on the pitch. I mean, it's brilliant with the stuff that's been done off the pitch, and even at academy level, and obviously there's facilities here, and the hospitality facilities, and the supporters over there. You'll see in the games coming up how packed that is. I'm sure that everybody knows about it at this stage, but it's important that we just do our side of it as well on the football side. And look, again, with the success of last year and a decent start this year, hopefully as that continue. There's no reason, like we did, and I addressed this probably at the start of the season, even after probably the first game, like there's no reason to think that we wouldn't be okay and wouldn't do well, but we have to make sure that we will.
Just on that, do you take satisfaction, or were you in some ways surprised by some of the comments, you know, when people were kind of predicting who could do well or bad, that an awful lot of people were kind of saying that maybe you'd struggle this season on the basis that, look, you won the cup last year, like you said there, you're coming off the back of 3 or 4 really solid seasons.
Yeah, and look, it's the same every year, and look, we were, I'm not sure if we still are, we might still be the favourites to go down, but look, it's people can have their opinions, it's absolutely grand, and look, sometimes I use that for the group or whatever, like any manager would do. But no, we just have to concentrate on ourselves. We know, and as I said, since the 12th of July last year, we were one of the form teams in the country, if not the form team. So we had to just keep that momentum going. We had to keep the good vibe around the place. Obviously, the cup success and then 6 days later the playoff success was easy to keep things going because everybody was loving it. So we just have to let people can say what they want. It doesn't affect us. Of course, as I said, I will say things and we'll use things to get whatever maximum we can out of the dressing room and there. But as I said, we just have to look after ourselves and let people say what they want to say.
What do you learn from last season? Like you said there, the fact that you were flying it, and then just seemed to taper off a bit.
Well, towards the end of the season last year. Well, look, to be honest, again, even the last stuff towards the end of the season, we were probably 3 weeks ago. We were set. Not that we weren't trying to win the game against Shelbourne in Tolka, or not that we weren't trying to win the last game against Dundalk, which we drew, but we were preparing for a cup final and a playoff final, and we had to be very careful, and we had to get as many minutes into players in case they were needed. We had to get lads that were carrying little knocks where we weren't risk. So you can't just you don't just write off results. But in some ways I'm contradicting myself. We sort of did really, because it was all about preparation for the big week that we had up. So look, we as I said, we kept the momentum going from before that week and after.
What can be achieved? I know you'll keep that private and what you said in the dressing room maybe at the start of the season, but what can be achieved here this season?
Look, again, really boring answer, and I'm not trying to avoid a question. We just have to try and improve every day and every season. And look, last I said, second half of last season we were really good, and we want to try and keep that momentum going. But look, there's no real targets, and people, as I said, people are talking about us being at one end of the table. At the moment we're sitting at the other end of the table. That can change very quickly if we don't keep doing our work. So we have to just, as I said, come in every day, train. As I said, things are much better regarding training facilities, training ground, training times, all that type of stuff. So we just have to keep that going. As I said, we certainly don't as much, and look, as much as I pretend that we're not delighted we're top of the league, and we have been for the last 3 weeks and all, it doesn't really mean anything at the moment. Like we just have to take each game as it comes, and again, that's a real cliche, but it's the truth. And we come into training and said today, tomorrow, whatever, to prepare for Cork on Friday, and that's all we can do.
What are you expecting from Cork? Because it was a bit of a mixed bag from them so far this season, but looking at their results and looking at some of the performances, when they've been good, they've been very good.
Very good, yeah. And look, again, even when talking about league table, they played a game less than everyone else, and if they had won that, and it probably at a time when they probably would have fancied playing Rovers when it was called off. Now they're flying. They're really good. Obviously very close to Tim, so I have a fair idea, and I'm watching them an awful lot. Obviously this week I've watched them a hell of a lot more, but no, they've been really good, and have had a few injuries themselves, but have still managed to pick up some really good points, some excellent wins. And the thing as well, what they have done is that they've mixed and matched. They've changed shape a few times, play a different shape against Shells and Tolka in the last game, and they might possibly do it again on Friday. We'll see them, but no, they've been really good. Tim's done a brilliant job. Obviously won the league, had a canter last year, but they've started us. I'm talking about momentum for us. It's certainly him and Cork City have taken that momentum into this season, but we're expecting it to be very difficult. But it's something that I love going down to Turner's Cross. Like it's going to be brilliant. It's the atmosphere, everything, all about it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Just a word on Tim. Of course, he's been outspoken sometimes this season. He's up against one of his former clubs on Friday night.
Yeah, Tim's always outspoken, but now look, Tim's a great relationship, and again, you talk about probably the success we've had over the last few years. That started with Tim, by getting us promoted in the first place. So now look, I said I would talk to Tim very regularly, and probably not this week, not to be fair, but we'll be very close to each other on Friday. So now looking forward to the game, and obviously hopefully be trying to get one over him this time, because I haven't managed that just yet. Just
finally, because you touched on it there, how great is it to have Turner's Cross back in the league, Cork City back in the league? Like you said there, the place is going to be happening. It's live on the telly. There's so much to look forward to on Friday night.
Yeah, brilliant. A massive club, and like as you said, it's as much as you have to go a trip. It's not even the long trip it used to be when I was playing against Cork, and stuff. But to go down there in front of a big crowd, like as I said, a massive club who have started the season really well. The atmosphere is going to be great. I know we're bringing down probably more than supporters than we've ever brought down, so that'll only add to the atmosphere. But no, it's great to have, as I said, one of the biggest clubs in the country, very successful, massive club, and really looking forward to playing them now on Friday.
Another step closer to the title.
Move on, please.
Best of luck. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks a lot.